No, you are not going crazy. You are not depressed simply because you like to chill out in your lounge with dim lights. You know, you like the darkness. We have been programmed to believe that if you like to be in darkness, that is, if you like to be in your room chilling in the evening, bearing in mind it's dark outside, and you want to be in the darkness, although there is a little bit of light, be it your candles or lamps, somehow you are wrong. Somehow there's something wrong with you. Somehow, you know, it's not a positive thing. That's what we've been brought up to believe. And for many years, ever since I was a child, I mean, I remember when the power cuts would occur. You know, nowadays here anyway in London, you hardly have a power cut. But back in the 90s, when I was in my, early years, you would have a power cut every so often, be it every couple months, sometimes every couple weeks. And especially in the night, that's when it would happen, and it would be such a lovely time. You'd go out. I grew up on an estate, so you'd get out there, it would be dark, all the lights are out, everybody has to put their candles on. Sometimes you wouldn't even be able to cook dinner, so you'd have to order takeaway, have your candles on, and it was so nice and intimate. And it's only now, at the age of 27, I've become aware of the fact that, when it comes to being in the darkness, when it comes to just having your candles lit and no artificial light, it is a very good thing for your pineal gland. It's a very good thing for your intuition. It's a very good thing for your astral body. Because don't forget, when you look up into the clear night and you see those twinkling stars, what is in between them? They say that 95% of space is, dark matter, pure melanin, pure energy. You can't even see what it is. It's dark. That's how much and how pure the energy is. And I'm sure they say it's about 95% of the sky. If you want to correct me, just leave your comments below. But when you consider the fact that you can, you look up in the sky and you see that the universe, the vast majority of it, virtually the whole universe is dark. We do find certain people, i.e. myself, and I'm sure a lot of others out there who are watching this video, we like to get in line with that. We like to tune our bodies and our psyches to that darkness. I'm sure a lot of you like it when there is a full moon out, when the only light that you have out in the darkness is that lit moon. That is a very spiritual, beautiful thing for me anyway. And it's only now that I've come to know the power of being in the darkness, the power of being in an intimate setting, having to heighten your other senses because your visual senses are somewhat, compromised. And if you are particularly trying to be conscious and you're trying to elevate your ESP, your extrasensory perceptions, you might want to try being in the darkness a bit more, particularly in the evening when it is dark outside. Just emulate that. Of course, in the daytime, you won't get that same dark effect, but I'm talking about nighttime when our solar sun is not shining directly on us. So we are in space at nighttime. So it's a very beautiful time. I like nighttime. If you were to ask me, I would like to be in night a lot of the time. I do like the sun too. I hear that in the northern hemisphere, up there, in like Iceland and those other places right by the pole, you have times of the year where it's constant nighttime and times of the year where it's constant daytimes. And obviously, if you picture the earth and how it tilts and rotates, you can figure out what times of the year that would be. And there is something special about the nighttime because your senses are heightened simply because of the fact that everything is not baked. Everything isn't lit up. Everything is not in the open. So you're having to use your senses more. I say that the French, for example, are creative very creative because of the fact that they use shutters on their windows. So when they go to sleep at nighttime, they're in complete darkness. They're not like us here who may have curtains or, net curtains and we leave them open and whatever. They actually have shutters. So from the time they put their heads down on the pillow to sleep to the time they wake up, they are in complete darkness. So what is being exercised here? Their other senses, their ESP, their pineal gland, their third eye, whatever you want to call it, their extra sensory perception is increased because they are having to use it more by the mere fact that they are in the darkness. So their visual sense is compromised. They always say that blind people have, elevated senses because of the fact that one is compromised or the others have to work harder. And this is what I'm sort of getting at. The fact that you may like being in the darkness, not because you're depressed or there's something wrong with you, but because subconsciously, innately, you are aware of the power of darkness. You like the night, not because you are an evil person who's satanic, but you simply are aware of the power of night and the fact that you can connect with the other polar. You see, we like to look at things as good and bad, God, the devil. But if you understand the universe as it is, that is one, you will understand that both the God and the devil, for example, are one. Two sides to the same coin. So as well as focusing on the light, you have to focus on the dark too. And that is going about, analyzing yourself as a being as well. We all have to look on the inside as well as the outside. Because of religion and other dogmatic systems, we have been pushed to being imbalanced. That is focusing on the outside and not focusing on the inside. As I said before, you may find that, you create a persona, you create an alter ego, an appearance on the outside, and it's different to what's going on on the inside. So the darkness, in this case being the inside, your true self, you need to focus on and work at just as much as your light self, the outside self. And if you're not working on both of them, just as much as you need to work on them, you'll become imbalanced. So if you're working on your inside and not on your outside, you'll be imbalanced. If you're working on your outside and not your inside, you'll be imbalanced. You need to work on both. So when it does come to the darkness, bear in mind we have night and day. The sun goes away, the earth has a rest. So our eyes, ourselves need to have a rest too. It's not just about going to sleep. When the sun goes down, try being in your home with a bit more darkness. Take off the lights. Have a lamp on here and there. Have candles lit up. You'll find the aura of your environment will improve because you're now following the cycles of the earth that you're, laid on. So that's what I have to share really on the darkness. It's not a bad thing to like the darkness. It's not a bad thing to want to know more about the darkness. Actually, it's a very good thing because it means you are trying to balance yourself and integrate your lower and your higher self. You're not supposed to forsake one for the other. You're supposed to integrate them. So, integrate yourselves. Integrate yourselves. If you want me to relate this to Jesus for fun, because I will, when Jesus was on the cross and he said, Eloi, Eloi, labachthani or something like that. I'm not going to try and say it. But he basically said, God, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you, forgotten me? Why have you left me in this dire strait at this time? And the reason why we are, made aware of that comment by Jesus dying on the cross is that, you see, we as beings are by default imbalanced. And at the hardest of times, at the strangest, most painful times, we can become imbalanced, even the best of us. And we can exhibit imbalanced thoughts and utterances and feelings. But you have to remember at the end of the day, we are integrating our lower selves with our higher selves. So in Jesus's case, when he was on the cross and he said, God, why have you forsaken me? He felt that the pain was too much for him. And that was his lower self. That was his lower self dying. He was now ascending to his higher self, even in the death, before the actual, disappearance from the tomb and everything. On the cross itself, while he was dying, when he was saying, God, why have you forsaken me? He was talking from his lower self, but he was now going to his higher self. So you're bringing your lower self in connection with your higher self. So there will be times when you do feel, you do feel forsaken. There will be times where you do feel, lost. But at the end of the day, in this process of integrating your lower self and your higher self, you have to experience both extremities. The extremity of the lightness and the extremity of the darkness. And once you have those experiences from those extremities, you can bring the best. That's alchemy. You can bring the best of both together in a unified whole, in a unified one. So for you lovers there of the darkness, just appreciate that and have a good time navigating your way through the darkness and your experiences of the darkness. And what I've come to find personally is that I am more connected to the astral realm in the darkness. And of course, I'm sure that's for everyone, because by logic, you would be connected more because you've not got the distraction of the sun. You see, too much light can become a distraction because you're now imbalanced. The focus is just on the outside. But now that the sun has gone, that distraction is no longer there. You now can only focus on the darkness, on your inner self, not your outer self. That's why we all go out to play in the daytime. That's why we all go out to work. We are awake. We are on the grind. But for those of us who actually stay awake in the darkness because we are conscious of the darkness and what it provides, so we can afford to stay awake. It's not for everybody to stay awake at nighttime, by the way. A lot of people are worried about me because I stay awake at nighttime a lot. And I still get on with what I need to get on with my days. But I know there is a very thin line between utilizing day and night and having sleep deprivation. So I have to be wary of that. But regardless, people worrying of me, because I am conscious of what the nighttime provides as well as the daytime, I can utilize what I need to do in the nighttime as well as the day. And when it comes to my downtime, in terms of me coming from outdoors, going indoors, and I mean that both literally and figuratively, I find that I learn a lot more about myself and my purpose here in the nighttime. And I love the nighttime. I love to be outdoors in the fresh, cold air as it is now wintertime, just looking up at the stars, looking up at the different constellations, looking up at the moon, wondering what's going on, just in awe. I'm in awe, literally, of the universe. And everybody should be, because it is beautiful. So get in touch with your inner self in the night and get in touch with your outer self in the day. But in the nighttime, don't try and replicate the day. Don't have your artificial lights on if you don't need to. Of course, at times we may need to, particularly with family out and about. I mean, the time it is now, it's after midnight, so I can afford to have the lights off. I've got the lamp on, as you can see behind me. And I like to pop on a candle or two and just have a nice intimate time, be it with myself or anybody else. You'll find that conversations flow much better when you're in the dim. I get distracted by the light. I don't like too much light, particularly artificial light, because it's artificial. And we only need what we need. That is the sun and the moon and stars. Peace.